Good evening and welcome to the channel. I'm Old Dead Man. Today we're back on War Thunder's website. We're looking at the It's Fixed number 2 and go through the major updates and changes in the last week's worth of patches. There's a couple of good ones in here. Plus, we're also going to take a quick dive into the actual patch log, change log from today. And that change log actually has quite a bit more information, so I'll leave a link for that in the description as well. If you prefer this type of content over the shorts, give me a thumbs up. I will also leave a link to the short below because it is a high-speed summary. If you are more interested in that fast packaged material, also leave a like there. All right, let's go for this real quick. First up, displaying of ground vehicles with aviation. Or when you're flying in ground battles and you're looking at the ground over a kilometer away, often the deformations of the terrain would hide the position or even existence of tanks. I'd often see it where I'd see like half of a turret sticking out of the ground, whereas the rest of the tank was disappeared. They fixed that, which was going to be a great help. They've basically made certain that they've changed the way they detail the world at a distance, so that over a kilometer away, you'll still be able to see the tanks on the ground. This will have a particular benefit to squadron battles, where being able to spot the enemy is such a huge game changer. So that's all positive to me. As you're all already familiar, there's a whole lot of tanks that have a pretty tight circle of vignette around the actual sights. It means that when you're looking down the sights, you can't see a whole lot more than just what you're exactly pointed at. On 80 plus vehicles, Gaijin has in fact expanded that out, so you have a wider field of view where that vignette has been pushed out farther to the edges of the screen. This gives you more options for being able to see the targets at a distance and being able to scan back and forth enough to be able to see what's going on near them. All awesome in my book. I'll put a list of the ones they've listed in the video right about here-ish. So, keep an eye out for that right about here. In a certain number of systems, it doesn't say which one, the video card was not having the memory capacity correctly detected. So when those particular systems, it was forcing those machines to run in ultra-low quality mode. Now, we all complain about ultra-low quality and what it does, and to be honest, from what I've seen, it doesn't actually help. The quality is so bad, I can't even go back to medium quality reliably these days. So, they've gotten those detected properly now, and all good. In simulator battles, often you could take off, and if you're in the middle of a flight at speed and try to close your canopy, well, it would rip off. The problem is that often it would also continue the sound as though the canopy was closing and muffle the sound as though the canopy was there. That's a weird one, but it was a bug and they fixed it. In arcade battles, I've actually played my first 2 arcade battles in ground arcade, I should say, in a very long time today. If you flew an airplane, you'd come back to the ground and often find the grass missing. Now, that's actually a tactical advantage in most cases. However, it's also a bug, and they have patched that bug. You should now return to the ground and see grass once again. Back to simulator again. You guys tell me that simulator doesn't get any attention. Well, it's getting attention. The replays in simulator would sometimes cause the gunner's sight to be shifted to one side, and therefore you could only see part of what was going on. They fixed that one as well, so now it's centered in the screen. I think one of our guys may have bumped into this during squadron battles just the other day. And that is that when they landed they were next to the airfield, next to as in like on the same surface, like just next to the taxiway, and it wouldn't repair the plane, even though it looked like there should be no reason that it wouldn't. So, what's going on, at least from this, is that if you had your engine set to over 50% power, and I'm assuming whether the engine is functional or not, it would not repair your plane. They fixed that bug, so now the aircraft mechanics come out there, and if your engine's roaring away, well, they'll still work on the thing, so you'll be getting your repairs taken care of. All right, we're going to switch over to the changelog itself. There's quite a bit more here than what was in the It's Fixed devblog style post. So a couple of things that catch my eye. A bug has been fixed which resulted in an incorrect splash trail being shown when an aircraft flies at water level. That's awesome. That'll be great for cinematics. Custom camo downloads have been optimized for low-speed connections. and it'll have a positive effect on ping and decrease packet loss. First time I've seen that part in decreasing packet loss in a long time, so thank you. I would be very delighted if they would take it that optimization all the way to 0 speed connections, so that I would not have to see the crazy and weird camos that still make it through the semi-historical filter. One of the more ridiculous ones on this that has been patched is the B24D had a bug where parts of the destroyed elevator remained in the air. And I think I've seen that before. Kind of odd to see an elevator just sitting there in the air. That's been patched. Another one that does affect the actual usability of a vehicle, the P59A, the event jet at, I believe it's 5.3 or 5.7 US. The total amount of ammunition has been changed from 1,800 rounds to 600 rounds in total. They had overestimated the amount of ammunition per gun, and therefore it has now got less ammunition. While this does not necessarily negatively impact the P59A, it does mean you will not have as much staying power in the fight. So keep that in mind if you use the P59A. Some additional changes that will affect your gameplay. The maximum possible volume of the player's own engine on their vehicles has been increased. At the same time, we have lowered the lower threshold for the volume of their own engine in the sound settings. Note, don't forget to go to the sound settings and adjust the volume of your engine. This change will allow those who prefer realism to get a more realistic engine volume for their own vehicles. In other words, loud enough where you can't hear anything near you. That will definitely be an issue if you are trying to use your ears to hear what's going on around you. I've been very grateful that I've not had to do much turning down of the engine volumes to be able to hear pretty well. Good headphones. Volume of machine gun fire sounds from the player's ground vehicles has been increased. The volume of the sound of the breach mechanisms in third-person view has been reduced. So they're balancing those volumes again. They've made it easier to determine the direction of vehicles from the sound by frequency. Fun one, a new sound of the M61 cannon rotor spinning on ground and aircraft has been created. So you're going to hear that thing wind up before it starts firing off its death. A bug which caused the sound of a rocket explosion at long distances to be inadequate has been fixed, so you'll get louder explosions. Hey, I love a good explosion. A bug where whilst playing the sound of artillery shells and rocket explosions at the same time, the sound of the former would stop, has been fixed. And these are just the patched items that I think are particularly interesting. There may be additional ones that you find interesting. Link again in the description below. Check them out. See if anything catches your eye. And if you think it's going to be a particularly interesting change, let me know. Thanks very much for joining me today. If you enjoy this, leave me a like. You have a good one. See you in War Thunder. One of the more, in my